Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Bearable Bull here. And I got this aggressively average content for you today. As ladies and gentlemen, to start off this video for today, we have to remember the major win Ripple got against the SEC that we discussed yesterday. We know that this case is winding down and powerful updates are coming to the forefront every single day. These are very exciting times, and something I want to stress is, despite this, we need to stay grounded in our principles. Here, I'm going to share this quote from Torrey Corton, one of the absolutely very few analysts that got the May 2022 Terra Luna crash absolutely correct. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been very transparent and honest with how poorly 2022 went for all of us, and the big mistake I made in not being able to project the crash and instead anticipating an altcoin season. Here, Torrey stated, nobody's making money because nobody's content with their profits. Everyone is constantly plagued with the thought of more and more and more. These are investments with no future guarantee. If you make even 50 to 100% and close that position, you have won. If I close out everything right now, which I'm not going to do, I have successfully executed 1,500% ROI. If it goes higher, why does it matter if I already won? Everyone fears the thought of selling and missing out if it goes higher, yet nobody fears the thought of selling and missing out if it goes lower. Then they're trapped in the hodl cycle, pursuing delusional timelines, and many of you have been the winners but held on to pure faith and greed until eventually transitioning into losers. When the prize is there for the taking, you should not have any doubts about taking it. And while you would be insane to sell everything, you're just as insane for selling nothing. I can't tell you how much I agree with this, and being in crypto since 2016 now, I can't tell you how many times I've seen people make this mistake, and I have made this mistake as well. If nothing else, we should learn from these mistakes, refine our strategies, and ensure we can win. Because we're going to have a massive opportunity to win. The question is, are we going to execute on it? Now, with that important principle in mind, we have this from Mickey B. Fresh. Ripple is dominating this case against the SEC, as far as all of us can tell. And here, Patrick McHenry, congressman that was grilling Gary Gensler the other day, stated Ripple is the big case that roiled the SEC in their very aggressive original approach. And if Gary was going to do all the things he said publicly, he would have done it already. I believe the crypto industry is going to start getting more power back because of this Ripple case. And ultimately, as a community, we're going to be regarded as the most intelligent group of people on the planet for holding this asset. In my opinion, when it's all said and done, we're pioneers and revolutionaries, and no one can take that away from us.
Really, the race is on as to whether or not the rules will be written by regulators enforcing their existing rules, or whether they'll be written by folks like Mr. McHenry here and his colleagues in Congress.
It's my hope that it's Congress that does this, because if Gary Gensler thought he had authorities to go after crypto in the way that he talks, he would have already done it, and they have not. In fact, we're sitting before the word Ripple, which is the big case that is roiled the Securities Exchange Commission and their very aggressive original approach.
Ripple, which is the big case that is roiled the Securities Exchange Commission and their very aggressive original approach.
But if Chair Gensler was capable, with the laws that exist, to do the things that he says, he would have already done them. I think it's really important that we have Congress define what's a digital asset and then separate out what is a security, what is a commodity? In all the work product from the administration, they say, we have to answer this question, and they don't answer the question because it's hard. It is now the work of Congress in a bipartisan, bicameral way to actually do that hard work to give form to the digital asset ecosystem. First step is stablecoins, the next step is market structure, as you mentioned in the beginning, and then the trade-offs along the way to make sure that we actually support innovation, which is not a part of any of the solutions put forward by the administration so far. It's all bad. That is the default position. It's like 85-15 for these executive orders on this world is horrible, without really spending more time than just 15% that there might be some benefit from it. I think we've got to make sure there's balance here, that we get the benefit of this technology here in the United States with our rule of law, our speech rights, our property rights, the constitutional checks and balances that we build into our system that we then export around the globe. I'd rather do that than having foreign imports of bad policy and bad regulation.
And ladies and gentlemen, ultimately, like McHenry said, it is hard. But you know what's crazy? Other countries already have their shit together. Other countries understand the massive opportunity at play here, and they're taking advantage of our inaction in the States. Ladies and gentlemen, he also mentioned how Ripple was handing it to the SEC, and McHenry stated that the US House will have a crypto bill within 2 months. The House Financial Services Committee will meet jointly in May to work out crypto regulation. And as difficult as it has been here in the States and as hard as it has been for retail investors, we are about to get the clarity we deserve.
Over the next 2 months is report a bill out that deals with both the capital raising piece for digital assets all the way through how a product can go from a securities regime to a commodities regime. And also at the same time, preserve our right around products that are neither neatly into a securities or commodities regime, and the ability for people to exchange those things. So those are the two pieces of news: the joint hearing, and then our time frame. And our time frame is a purposeful one to get fast action out of our committees. We've worked on it. We've worked on these matters for months, and in fact years, in coming together with policy. But we're going to have public hearings for the next couple of months and build out a bill that deal out of the Ag Committee, now the Financial Services Committee, that does what is necessary for bringing clarity to digital assets.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about all of you, but that's extremely exciting to me. You see, the bare minimum conversation that should be had is how we can get from turning cryptos from securities or from the general fundraising part of a cryptocurrency into eventually decentralizing enough to be considered a virtual currency or a commodity. It's almost as if a commissioner, cough cough Hester Pierce, proposed a safe harbor proposal that Gary Gensler never fucking read because he doesn't respect her opinion. Ladies and gentlemen, we've always had the answers. The United States always knew the solutions. It's just that corruption has gotten in the way. Here's what I can say though. The technology is not stopping. And what I've often found is that because most of us in this audience is filled with Americans, we have this America-centric outlook. And because of this, we just feel as if the crypto market is all doom and gloom. However, adoption internationally is really accelerating. And even the big US institutions are beginning to monopolize and take their stranglehold in this space. In addition, guys, something I want to remind you about is that just a couple weeks ago, ISO 20022 did go live. And it's not going to be a one flip of the switch moment for ISO, but it's a gradual rollout where more banks and organizations continue to hop on. And what I want all of you to recognize is that in just 1 month, the Bank of England is going to migrate over to ISO. And that's going to be a big bombshell of a moment that you all need to be very aware of.
The Bank of England moves to ISO 20022 for CHAPS, real-time gross settlement, in a move that it calls Transition State 2.1 in June of this year. By which time, of course, we're all going to be experts because we'll have been using ISO 20022 for regular bank-to-bank payments for a good 3 months by then.
And ladies and gentlemen, something you all need to remember, because it's oh so important, is that the Bank of England was one of the big Ripple partners who has trialed Ripple's technology for a long time. That's why I wanted to highlight that specific migration for the Bank of England, because as we know, RippleNet is ISO compliant, and I believe as this technology progresses, I believe XRP will play a pivotal role for the quantum upgrade and the new technologies this financial system will use. Hong Kong is looking to require banks to open accounts for crypto firms because they know that they need to adopt this technology, as innovation in the crypto space is going to be key for making economies thrive. And maybe the United States needs to finally get on board with this, because as we know, if we don't, we will get left behind. Hell, even Augustin Carstens, head of the BIS, is stating that, and is stating central banks need to be bold to reap the greatest benefits from innovation. We know that Brad Garlinghouse has been in high-level meetings with Augustin Carstens and the BIS, and I can only speculate on what technology they need to use to reap the benefits from innovation. Now, ladies and gentlemen, to cap off this video for today, please listen to this quick clip from Augustin Carstens as we all salivate to the finish line of this XRP case and witness as all the major central banks and institutions adopt the technology we've been talking about and speculating on for the past half decade. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Bearable Bull here. Thanks for tuning in. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. Now I'll be back tomorrow with another video.
Sometimes we need to be bold, and sometimes we need to think big. We're in the planning process. I mean, this has to be put in context of the moment that we're living. We are in a unique situation in finance and in central banking where we have at our hand a technology that didn't exist before. And I think it is incumbent on us to think what is the best way we can use that technology. To have a complete different rethink, it's, I think, refreshing from the point of view that it allows you to think on alternatives and to think on ways where many of these frictional elements can be eliminated.
I hold XRP because Ripple's the chosen one to lead the new global digital payment system, and they use XRP. In 2013, the Federal Reserve began looking for faster payments options. 2 years later, an action plan was born and a federal payments task force was created. It included one company focused on crypto, Ripple. In 2014, the World Bank and Better Than Cash Alliance, which includes the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Clinton Global Initiative, and the governments of 32 countries, put out a report called The Opportunities of Digitizing Payments. 1 year later, the Better Than Cash Alliance featured one crypto company on their website, Ripple. Today, Better Than Cash Alliance and all other UN initiatives are focused on a single agenda, the Sustainable Development Goals for 2030. You can see the SDGs logo on Bill Gates' lapel, world-leading companies, the Better Than Cash Alliance website, and on the UN's official exchange, Exchange. What crypto is Exchange officially utilizing for their carbon credit solution? XRP. The world will move to a new international standard for exchanging electronic messages between financial institutions by 2025 called ISO 20022. Who was the first ISO 20022 member focused on distributed ledger technology? Ripple. Who's partnered with over 300 financial institutions, including Bank of America, American Express, PNC, Santander, SBI, HSBC, Standard Chartered Bank, Bank of England, India, Singapore, Scotland, Australia, and Indonesia, the largest banks in Japan, Canada, Egypt, the Middle East, East, United Arab Emirates, Thailand, Morocco, Bhutan, South Korea, Brazil, and Latin America? Ripple, who is a former employee overseeing the Federal Reserve? Ripple, a former employee overseeing the world's largest asset manager, BlackRock's digital asset division? Ripple, leading Australia's CBDC effort? Ripple, who hired a former Treasury of the United States? Ripple, 2 former Federal Reserve attorneys to their board? Ripple, 2 former Clinton and Obama advisors, former Minister of Defense and Economics of Germany, former business director at Swift, former Swift board member, former CFO of PayPal, former head of the DTCC, former chief business officer at Uber, former VP of Amazon, and former SEC chair on their legal team? Ripple, who's a member of the Digital Pound Foundation, Digital Dollar Project, Digital Euro Association, Mojaloop, IMF's high-level advisory board on fintech, Hyperledger Blockchain Consortium, Open Payments Coalition, Faster Payments Council, Global Payments Steering Group, Cross-Border Working Group, International Association for Trusted Blockchain Applications, Crypto Climate Accord, University Blockchain Initiative, World Wide Web Consortium, and a featured partner of the World Economic Forum with 3 members of their team directly listed on the WF website? Ripple. Now, does Ripple and XRP sound like they're going to disappear, or do they sound like they're part of a much bigger plan? You decide.